Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. So today it's the third and final part of our voyage unpacking this really large box that I received from Cult Pens in the UK. It's been a bit of a journey, hasn't it? The first part we looked at the notepads, the inks and the accessories that were in the box. Part 2 we looked at the Laban 325 fountain pen. In today's instalment we're going to look at the final thing from this box, which is a Diplomat Aero. So join me down on the mat, we'll unbox the Aero, we'll take a look at it, we'll fill it with some ink, we'll do a writing sample, and then I'll give you my first impressions of this gorgeous pen. So welcome down to the mat. So here we go with unboxing of this. This is a Diplomat. Nice simple box, but it's got this little bit of patterning. You know, it's telling us it's a Diplomat since 1922. Let's just turn the box around. Let's go this way around instead of the usual. So nothing else really on the box. On the ends up here, we've got details of what it is, so we can see it's an Aero and it's a broad nib. And here again, we've got Diplomat. So let me just open this up. That end's already partly open, so let's do that. And let's slide out what's inside. And I managed to slide it out so it's back to front. Let's turn that around. This is plastic, but it looks like it's a stainless steel type colour. Looks really nice. So again, Diplomat. And on here, got the black box inside. That must be a slider of some sort. You know, nice and simple. So again, we slide out. In fact, that is metal. I thought initially it was plastic. It's not. That's a really nice touch, isn't it? Right, we're into the box now. So at the top here, we've got Diplomat again. It's letting us know all the time, isn't it, that it's a Diplomat. Let's lift it out of the way. And then here we have it, the Diplomat Aero in the factory colour. Now factory, what this is this is literally the aluminium. Nothing else has been added to it. So it's just that plain aluminium colour. And when I saw it, I thought, that's different, isn't it? And that's why I thought, well, if I'm going to get one, let's get that because it's unique. I've seen a lot of people with Diplomats in the various colours. You know, because again, the Aero, there's some nice choice of colours. First time I'd seen this one. So yeah, I grabbed that. Let me lift this bed out just to see what else is in there. So in here we've got our service and warranty guide, and there's a couple of ink cartridges in there. I'm going to leave all them in there for now. I'll move the box out of the way, fetch that bed back, then let's slide this pen off. Let's turn it around, and it's already coming out of the bag, so we'll take the bag out. Fetch my pen rest. There we go. I've got to be honest, this is nicer than what I thought it would be. I love that it's this plain, nothing done to it. Looks like it has, as it said, it's come out of the factory. I think that might be a bit of an acquired taste because I think a lot of people will think, well, it looks like it's not finished properly. It looks like it could be a second. It's not. I just think it looks really nice. It's the Aero, so it's got these lovely bezels coming in. It's the first Aero I've had, so it's going to be interesting with this. Let me just turn this around a little bit more so we can see it. I'm thinking this might be a bit of a fingerprint magnet. Again, I'll find out as I'm using it. Top of the pen, we've got, again, it looks like it's metal. There's the Diplomat logo on there. And this is, I would say this is a grey-brown sort of colour. That then comes down into the cap. The top of the cap. Again, that same grey-brown colour as the top with a clip. The clip is nice and springy. The cap, it tapers out till it gets to, I would say, just a little bit after the 3/4 way mark, and then it goes straight. The bottom of the cap, we've got Diplomat, turn around, and Germany. There's no step down into the body, it just is seamless. So we come down into the body, then the body quickly starts to taper down again, and it goes down quite narrow till we've got another one of those metal grey-brown colours at the end. Let's take the cap off. The cap pulls off. So this reveals that same grey-brown section colour, like that, and the nib. Let's take a closer look at the nib. So the nib, it's all a silver colour. So we've got there the Diplomat logo. Underneath that, we've got Diplomat. Under the Diplomat, it says since 1922. And then we've got the B for broad. Nice, simple looking nib. I think this is one of the things with the German manufacturers. They do keep things nice and simple. There's not a lot of complexity where it's not needed. So from the nib, we come into the section. So in the section here, we've got a lip on the end. If I hold the pen, doesn't really feel it there though. So a lot of pens, I can feel this lip at the bottom here. This one, I know it's there, but it's not digging in. The section is really nice and comfy. One of the things I'll need to look at as I start using this is how slippy the section is with it being made of metal. Feels like there's a little bit of a coating on there, so it may not be too bad. So unscrew the body. That reveals the included converter. Again, a pen with an included converter is always a points winner in my books. The converter, it's got a Diplomat, and I think that's made in Germany. How easy is it to twist? There's a little bit of resistance, but it looks like it's a nice long converter there. Just leave that down, pop this back together again, and then pop the lid on. Nice looking pen. Let me fetch in some other pens so we can do a size comparison. So here we go. There's the Diplomat Aero. Next to that, Pilot Metropolitan. So lengthwise, virtually the same, but the Aero, it's that girthier pen. Another German pen this time, Lamy Safari. Again, similar length. Then I've got a Jinhao 159. Jinhao, lot longer pen. Girth-wise, slightly wider, but not that much that you'd really notice. Get rid of these. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to quickly step away. I'm going to give the pen a clean out. When I come back, we'll look at the ink, we'll fill it up, do a writing sample, and then I'll give you my first impressions. So here I am back. Now, one of the things which I like about this pen, because of the colouring, I can put any ink I want into it. You know, generally I try and tie the colour of the pen to the colour of the ink. So if the pen's predominantly blue, it has blue ink. Predominantly red, red ink. This one, it's got no colour really, so that leaves me open to virtually any colour I fancy. So for this one, this is actually one of the inks that came in the package with this pen. I'm going to use Diamine Writers Blood. This is a nice browny red, is the best way to describe it. I'm not sure how well it comes over on the camera because on my preview it looks a lot paler than it does on the swatch that I can also see. So that's something to bear in mind. And I think it's going to be nice with this pen because we've got the saturation of this ink. We've got the silver of the body. I think that will go really well together. So let me fetch in the actual ink. First thing that comes in obviously is my ink holder. This is just there to hopefully try and minimise any accidents that might come from being a clumsy Gary. So there goes the ink bottle. So we go in there. Let's fetch that plunger up. Take it back down again. Fetch it back up again. And here we have a really nice fill. I'm just going to wipe off the section. There we go. Now you can see there how full that is. That's all the way to the top. Putting the pen back together again. So just rest it there a minute or two and get rid of the ink. There we are, the lid's on. I'm safe for another day. Get rid of the pot and I'll fetch in my notepad. So this optic paper by Oxford. Love this pad, love this paper. This is a nice, well-behaved paper with fountain pens. So let's start writing. So here we have a Diplomat. Wow, that's nice. Aero. In broad, and by broad, it is massive. It's really thick. Compared to most of the other broad nibs that I've got, this is a lot thicker. Our ink, Diamine Writers Blood. To my eye on the paper, this looks very dark at the moment. When I see it on the camera, I can see more of the colour coming through. And as the ink is drying, more of that colour is really developing to my eye. So we can see some nice shading coming through already. But let's test our drying times. Immediate. That's a wet combination, isn't it? Going to wait for 10 seconds. Yeah, that's dried off a little bit. 30 seconds. Doesn't seem a lot of change from the 10-second mark. Finally, 1 minute. Wow, that's still really wet. Now, I don't often do this, but because that's so wet still, I'm going to do another one. This time, I'm going to leave it for 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, still a tiny amount coming off. I've got to be honest, I think this is one of the wettest combinations of pen and ink that I've had. For the next writing sample, I'm going to move the mic down close to the paper so you can hear it writing. That's nice and smooth. It's not a loud pen to write with, so you can't really hear much. It's got that nice glassy feel to it. It's almost as if it's gliding over the paper. Now, it'd be interesting to see what this is like on some cheaper papers where the grain of the paper isn't as nice as it is on this Oxford book. So that's going to be an interesting test. It'll also be interesting when I try it out on Tomy River paper. But yeah, quite nice. Quite enjoy writing with this. I'm seeing more of the shading coming through. So as I'm starting to write through that initial fill, the ink is lightening up a bit. Still looks very dark on the paper to me, but on the camera I can really see the redness of it. My next test, I'm just going to rest the pen in my hand. You know, we get a really nice thick line coming out there. No pressure at all on that. The pen fits nicely in my hand. See if it posts. Yes, it posts, adds a little bit to the weight, but not that much. I'm just going to move this all up a bit so I don't end up with ink over my hands with it being so wet. But yeah, nice feeling pen. I was happy writing unposted. Didn't feel too short, didn't feel too long. It's fairly light with being made out of aluminium, so I may try posting it, but when I'm writing with it posted, I'd be worried, to be honest, about scratching this lovely material, because we're talking metal on metal then, and that never really turns out well, does it? So what do I think of this pen? It's a nice pen. It looks different. I love that unfinished aluminium look. I really do. I like here where they've just got that browny grey metal to really just offset it a bit. I loved the packaging. I really did. The packaging was awesome, especially that metal slide. That's something that'll be going on my pen shelf, so you may see that in future videos behind me. Nice pen to write with. Very, very wet. So I may look for a drier ink to put into here when I refill this. Now, I'm not intending to tip out the ink that's in there because I think it's going to be a good test, but I think, yeah, this needs that slightly drier ink to really benefit and draw it out. I'll know better after I've written with it for a while, but at the moment it's a very dark colour, but that's just again because it's so wet. But overall, nice pen. Is it worth the 263 Australian dollars I paid for it? That's the hard question, isn't it, really? Because, you know, yes, you have to take each pen on its own rights, and the one thing we've got to be saying is, does this pen let me get ideas out of my head and onto paper? So in that respect, this pen passes with flying colours. It's nice to write with, it's enjoyable to write with, and it lets me get those ideas out of my head. But then I've got to look at it compared to some of my other pens. I've got a Pilot Custom Heritage 92, which has got a gold nib, and that cost less than this pen, which has got a steel nib. But equally, when I look at my Leonardo, which was about $200 more expensive, again for a steel nib, I've got to then look at it and think, well, is it worth it? I'm glad I've got this. I do think it's worth the money, but I'm not sure if it's a pen that I would buy another one of this particular make. I don't think I'll get another Diplomat Aero, because when I look at the other pens on the market, I think on a dollar for performance basis, this works out quite expensive. I'm now going to do something again I don't normally do. I'm going to clear this off. Here are the two pens that came in this package from Cult Pens. Both nice to write with, both nice pens. Take off the caps. Both got nice nibs on them. I like the fact this one is a twist to uncap, whereas I'm not 100% set on this being a pull one, but again, that's just me. Of the nibs, they're both fairly simple nibs, but I'd like to see a little bit extra. With the Aero, it'd be lovely if the nib carried through with this colouring. So rather than being a silver coloured nib, if it was this, I want to call it a space grey, but it's not quite space grey, but this grey brown colour. On the other pen, that would have been nice if the nib had that little bit of silver, just to fetch a little bit more interest to the nib. But yeah, happy with them both. If you haven't seen the video for the Laban, I will put a link in the description so you can go and watch that video as well. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Have you got a Diplomat Aero? What finish is it in? What do you think of it? How does it work for you? Please drop a comment down below. Let's kickstart the conversation. Hit that thumbs up button. Remember, the more people that like and comment just helps to feed the YouTube algorithm and helps other people find these videos. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.